Hi everyone, it's Richard. I'm going to be doing an Alberta hopper. I got one day to do it. I'm going to show you the graffiti now that I'm going to put on it. And this is from a YouTube video under Stomp Down's profile. So you can look it up under Stomp Down. And the video is called Lurking Turkey. Lurking Turkey. So that's the turkey there. Barely see it, but anyway, pretty good graffiti. Well, good job on the train. You can watch the guys make it, or whoever makes it. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. There's a lot more color to it. That's silver, not white, and there's a lot more color in the background. There's some dark red in there. And that's the graffiti I'm going to be doing. And on the other side, I'm just going to rust it up real good. Put some tags and things. So that's what I'm going to be doing. And I hope you enjoy it. I already whitewashed or sun bleached the train car. But on the Alberta, I noticed on all the cars, they're a little bit rusty. The Alberta, the yellow, is not that yellow. So I'm going to put a little bit of rust on there to orange it up a bit. Other than that, all on the other side anyway. Then it'll look normal on your layout. I already put the sun bleached white on to give it that effect. I've done that, and on the other side I'm just going to rust it up real good. That's about it. And I got one day to do it in. So it's 9 o'clock now, and I'm going to time see how long it takes. I got a stopwatch so I can do this now, but I'm going to see how long it takes to actually do the graffiti work. And I'll put that in there. I'll put that on the video also, how long it takes me to do it. Okay, here we go.
Welcome back to Coast AM. I'm George Knapp, your guest host. My guest is Joseph Farrell. We've been speaking about the SS Brotherhood of the Bell and learning a lot about history that isn't in the history books. You're blowing my mind here, Joseph.
Well,
I guess that's the point. Let's talk about the possibility that there are two space programs. You know, you hear these statements every once in a while from folks in connection with advanced technology that we have. Hints, for example, about what might have happened out at Area 51. You know, I heard that quote back in the late 80s, that there are things out there that would make George Lucas drool and that were 50 years ahead of anything you could imagine, and hints from people like the late Ben Rich that maybe we've already been to the stars and back.
Right.
Do you believe it's possible that we are using this technology in some other kind of space program that the public has not been told about?
Yes, I do, and let me get into some of the details why. Let's go back to that other scientist that I mentioned that was connected with the Bell, Dr. Kurt Davis, the one that I mentioned I have a picture of in the book with Dr. von Braun. He was, again, the one of the administrators at the Kennedy Space Flight Center during the Apollo mission. And this man is not even a rocket scientist. He's an electrical engineer. And again, he was the man that designed the power plant for the Bell. Now, I want to make something very clear before I proceed, and that is I am not, absolutely, definitely not one of those people that believes that the Apollo moon missions were hoaxed. I do not believe that at all. But I think that some of the anomalies that those people are pointing out are really signatures or indicators of an alternative technology that may have been deployed, not necessarily so much in getting us to the moon, but in getting us off the moon. And the reason I say that is, again, one of those things that the hoaxers point out that is an unusual signature for a rocket is that the Lunar Excursion Module, the LEM, the television pictures that you see of that module taking off from the moon, don't really look too much like the signatures of a rocket. The thing just sort of pops up and more or less flies away at what appears to be a uniform rate of speed, which again, a rocket accelerates geometrically per unit of time. So that to me is a little indicator that there may have been an alternative technology involved in getting us off the moon that everybody wishes to keep quiet. And in that respect, I should point out another significant detail. Dr. von Braun himself gave an interview for Time magazine shortly after the first lunar landing, in which he quoted a neutral point for the gravitational attraction between the Earth and the Moon at approximately 43,500 miles from the surface of the Moon, which is not where it would need to be if the Moon were merely 1/6 the gravity of the Earth. If that were the case, that neutral point would have been much closer, something like 23 to 25,000 miles, if I recall my figures correctly, from the surface of the Moon. So in other words, the figure indicates that the Moon is possibly a much more massive object than we have been told publicly. And for that reason, then, it would have required a rather different technology than the mere rockets on the Lunar Excursion Module to get us off the Moon. So again, I think that there may have been an alternative technology in play during the Apollo missions.
And do you, to take it a step further then, do you believe then that it's possible we're using it now to zip around the solar system or the galaxy or something like that could be going on and we haven't heard about it?
Well, to crawl way out on a limb here, yes. I mean, if we go back to the speculation that this technology has been in existence since World War II, and then whoever has it has had 60 years to develop it, then yes, it's possible.
You mentioned Wernher von Braun a couple of times.
Right.
Any indication that he was involved in this research back in Germany?
That's an excellent question. Let's go back to the internal evidences of the Magic 12 documents. One of the things that kind of caught my eye when I read them was that in General Twining's so-called white-hot intelligence estimate, it mentions that they bring in the paperclip scientists to look at the Roswell wreckage. Now, I thought that a very peculiar thing for our military to be doing if it had suspected that technology was extraterrestrial. Why would we be sharing one of our deepest national security secrets with a bunch of ex-Nazis who are tinkering with our rockets? I just don't think that security compartmentalization would have allowed that. However, one of the things that then goes on in the documents to describe is the technology that these German scientists, after looking at the wreckage, come up with. And it has all the appearance of being little indicators of connections to projects that the SS was involved with during the war. So on the basis of the internal evidence, then, yes, von Braun may have had some sort of inside knowledge as to other projects going on in Nazi Germany back when he was their chief rocket scientist. And again, we have to remember that this Dr. Kurt Davis was a member of his rocket building teams as well as one of the chief scientists involved in the Bell project.
Well, let's stick with Roswell for a second.
Sure.
The Roswell community, the community of Roswell researchers, isn't going to like the idea that this might have been some sort of a Earth technology that crashed there. What do you think crashed at Roswell?
Well, to be quite honest with you, again, going back to my argument from internal evidence, since the biological aspect of the story, and as far as the documents are concerned, is the part of the story that most cinches the case for E.T. in other people's minds about Roswell, and since that evidence in the documents is blacked out, on the basis of the extant internal evidence, then I have to conclude that it was a terrestrial craft. Now, what does this mean in terms of our military's response to it? If they are bringing in paperclip scientists, if that really happened, and for the sake of argument, let's suppose that it did, if they really did that, then the military is going to panic not so much because this is an ET craft that has crashed, but it's because it is something Nazi, and that means that somebody out there is continuing